Hi everybody, welcome to another edition of Inside Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland with my tag team partner, the Nikolai Volkov to my Iron Sheik, Tommy Marquez. The 2019 Reebok CrossFit Games Open is now officially over. The leaderboard is final, but it is not final.
Not final, and follow along with your wrestling references. They can't quite camel clutch onto those spots just yet.
Well done.
We actually spoke with some of the CrossFit Games staff, and there still needs to be video verification and drug testing that still goes on. They're going to be requesting multiple videos from every qualifier to make sure their scores are legit. On top of that, all of the qualifiers are now within the scope of the CrossFit drug testing pool, so they can be tested at any time, and you're certainly going to see some of those that are already playing out. I've seen some athletes post on social media that they have been selected for testing, so still a few things that need to get ironed out before we can guarantee their spot.
We're going to look at the leaderboard, though, as it stands right now, and on the men's side, above the cut line, there are 12 rookies who are set to make their first appearances at the CrossFit Games as individuals. One of them we have seen compete as a team, and really looking forward to seeing George Sterner throw down now on the big stage.
You and me both, Sean. George Sterner is arguably one of the biggest up-and-coming athletes on the men's side. Back in 2016, he finished second at the CrossFit Games in the 16 to 17 division. Then, 1 year later, his first foray into individual competition, finishes 9th at the Central Regional. Looks like he's just a shoo-in to make it to the Games the next year. Unfortunately, had a little bit of a regression, finished 23rd at the Central Regional last year. Kind of wondered where that was going to lead him in 2019. He bounces back with his best finish ever worldwide in the Open, 8th overall, and as a 20-year-old civil engineering student, has a chance to go to his very first CrossFit Games.
Yeah, still has not yet to hit his ceiling. On the women's side, more rookies. There are 15 right now above the cut line, and Tommy, you got to see one of them compete over in Dubai, and that's Frei. And I know you were impressed with her.
Certainly, and if you go to the Dubai leaderboard, her name actually stands out as Frei, but she finished 4th in an absolutely loaded field out in Dubai to start the season. And going into the finale, she was essentially in a 4-way winner-take-all type scenario with Sam Briggs, Jamie Green, and Sarah Sigmundsdottir. Ultimately, she slipped down to 4th, didn't walk away with the victory there, but certainly stood out as an athlete to keep my eye on. And then you follow up to the Open this year, finishes 12th worldwide after that strong performance in Dubai. She's now won her 4th straight Fittest in Slovakia title. And at just 23 years old, Sean, we could be seeing the next big name on the women's side to come out of Europe.
That's a look at some of the names who are in. But let's look at right now the women and men who are not at the CrossFit Games, and we will start on the men's side. And these are the men who are outside the cut line right now and aren't getting a backfill spot yet from one of the sanctioned events. Tim Paulson and Noah Olson are the top two. These are men who were in the games last year, and then Ben Smith had that knee surgery. That's why he finished so far down on the worldwide leaderboard. But Paulson and Olson may just need to sit there and let this thing play out. They could find their way to Madison.
In two kind of slightly different ways. Paulson first, because he's just below the cut line to earn one of those top 20 qualifying spots from the Open. It's very well likely that once video verification goes through and maybe some athletes get some penalties, that takes some people out that were in front of him, and Paulson gets to move up above that cut line and ultimately walk away with one of those spots, pending his videos as well. And then in that similar vein, if that happens and Pat Vellner moves up into one of those top 20 qualifying spots, then he doesn't take the Wodapalooza invite anymore, and that gets passed down to Noah Olson, and Noah, through a very backfill scenario type way, gets to go to the CrossFit Games.
A lot more women who were at the games last year have already qualified than the men, but here are a look at some of the names who have not gotten to Madison yet. Courtney Haley is one of them. She's 41st right now in the Worldwide Open. And then Cassie Lance McWhirter, who's 49th, won the Open last year. I know you spoke with her, and she's looking to get herself back to Madison as well.
Yeah, and I think it's very easy to look at her performance and just think, oh man, she totally just punted this one into the stands. But then on further inspection, it wasn't that bad. You look at 593 of her 752 points came in 19.1. And you think, okay, she didn't do great in 19.1, but really just 7 wall balls in that workout separate her from potentially going to the CrossFit Games. If she improved by 7 wall balls, she would be above the cut line and in one of those qualifying spots, especially given that you look at the rest of her performance. Everything 51st worldwide or better, really solid across the board from there on out. And I think we'll certainly see Cassidy at one of these sanctioned events and finding her way back to the CrossFit Games in 2019.
And speaking of those sanctioned events, there are 10 on the schedule between now and the CrossFit Games. And the first one up, it's April 12th to the 14th in Washington, D.C. It is the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge. The online qualifier has already happened. They're going to take 40 of the top teams, 20 of the top men and 20 of the top women, but that field is yet to be solidified, as some people may be withdrawing, but we don't know yet. So that field has yet to be determined, but the online qualifier has already happened. So the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge is the next event on the schedule. Sad note that we want to pass along to the CrossFit community. Last night, Monday night at 10:30 Eastern Time, Becky Konzelman, who is a former CrossFit Games athlete, Masters athlete, and just a great representative for this community, suffered a brain aneurysm, and she was rushed to the hospital. She had surgery a few hours later. She is currently on life support in a medically induced coma, and her prognosis at this moment is touch and go. So if anything, any thoughts and prayers that you could, positive thoughts that you can send to the Konzelman family, I know will be greatly appreciated. And Becky Konzelman is someone who's inspired you.
Yeah, she's inspired me personally, and actually one of my most vivid memories from my time working at CrossFit. My very first time working for CrossFit on the regional media team back in 2011. I watched Becky Konzelman at the Mid-Atlantic Regional step up and just destroy the very first workout. I watched this woman who was a little bit older than some of the other competitors, had her family there. She just smashed the 30 handstand push-ups, and I was floored. And this was my first experience being on the media team. And then beyond that, beyond just being inspired by her physically, she was in the overall lead and ran away with that regional. She was the first one to show up for interviews, take some time to chat with us, and upon getting to meet her and know her better, I was even that much more inspired by her holistically, because her character and who she was as a person was a perfect example of what CrossFit is all about.
Yeah, so all our best wishes go out to Becky Konzelman, and her family are certainly pulling for you, and hope that this ends on a positive note. That is going to do it for us for today, but we will have more coming out this week. Tommy's going to do another leaderboard spotlight coming up in the next couple days, and if you watched our show yesterday and saw the interview with Noah Olson, we will be publishing that in its entirety. That's it for us. For Tommy, I'm Sean. We'll see you next time.